Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. So how many of you have ever used the phrase, I have had enough? Anyone ever not use that phrase? Right, it's pretty common, but did you ever use it when you were happy? Or when things were going your way? Like, oh, this is wonderful, this is perfect, but I have had enough. We always use it when things are not going the way that we want them to, when we are just tired of whatever is going on. I have had enough. Or another favorite, I am fed up. And you never say that after a great meal. I am fed up. I have had enough. Well, you may have said you have had enough. But some of the phrases we use, like, I've had it up to here. That was so wonderful. I've had it up to here. All these phrases really just reflect dissatisfaction. And we tend to use them far more than when we say we're happy. Usually when things are going really well, we either believe that we're kind of entitled to it, or if we enjoy it, it will all be taken away from us. Hence the phrase, "Kanaina." And its corollary, "Poo-poo-poo." By the way, "poo-poo-poo" is the polite way. They used to actually, well, I'm not going to do it in shul, but it was, it would get your attention. Kanaina means keep away the evil eye. Means that nothing bad can happen. But there is so much dissatisfaction with our lives. And it causes us to miss everything in our lives. I know people who absolutely miss the lives they had because they couldn't appreciate any of it. They had an idea that there was supposed to be more, that they just did not have enough. And this is really the central theme of our Torah portion with Korah, who was rebelling against Moses. And he gets 250 other people to rebel against Moses as well. And Korah says to Moses, "Who made you leader?" Moses was like, "Oh." It actually was God. Well, it's not fair to the entire people. Now, the fact is, Korah was a person of great power, had wealth. His life was going pretty okay. And the other people he got to rebel against Moses, their lives also were good. At least by most standards. They had wealth, they had power. Pretty much everything was going their way. But their misery was in the pretty much everything going their way. Because it wasn't perfect, they couldn't enjoy any of it. Because someone else had a little bit more, they couldn't enjoy what they had, and ultimately the ground swallows them up. And it's a beautiful metaphor because if you don't appreciate the life that you're living, it feels like you've just been swallowed up in misery. And this doesn't mean that everything is going the way that you want, and it doesn't mean that you're not experiencing pain and difficulty. But most people's lives are pretty okay. Again, there is a lot of suffering in the world. But I mean, in our part of the world, it's pretty okay. I used to tell my kids that we live better than 95% of the world, just not 95% of the people they know. And this is a cause of some tension. Kids, though, don't spoil themselves. I hear this all the time. Oh, this generation is so spoiled. Well, who raised them? And who raised the people who raised them? It's not worth it to put blame on people for being exactly the way they are raised, but I think there are ways that we can help each other. Our entire society is really based on the idea that you are inadequate, that you are not enough, that you do not have enough. Can you imagine a commercial that said, we sell this product, but honestly, you don't really need it. And it doesn't even work. The only thing that will happen are the side effects. Everything is based on the idea of fears of not having enough, of being inadequate. And I don't want to blame people for feeling this way. Some of it comes maybe from childhood. You didn't get enough affection, or you got the wrong kind of attention as a child. Maybe you were supposed to live up to somebody else's dreams and not your own. That you never felt you were living your own life, so you tried to compensate in other ways. This isn't about being a bad person. This is about recognizing where the hollowness comes from. And how do you fill that? These are issues of addiction. There's a hollowness that needs to be fed, and whether it's by substances, by shopping, by food, by attention. There are people who I think that they have a form of attention deficit disorder, meaning that if there's a deficit in the amount of attention someone is paying to them, it causes a disorder. Always feeling hollow, never really having had enough. And it's painful. It's not about being a bad person, it's about really missing the joy that's actually in your life because you're trying to fill a void in ways that aren't healthy or helpful. And that's what I think so much of what Judaism is really about, is acknowledging that in general, our lives are pretty good. And if you can live a pretty good life, that's amazing right now. People say, same old boring. I can give you a list of about 6 billion people who would like to have a more boring day. Yeah, and I'm not talking about when something terrible happens or there's a terrible illness. That pain is real. But just an average, dull kind of day, most of the world which is great places, but we don't recognize that. So that's why we have a system of blessing that we're supposed to say 100 brachot per day. We say a lot of that through prayer, but through what we eat, what we see. It's just an acknowledgement that in this moment it's actually okay. Shabbat means that you are perfect the way you are, even if no one else thinks so, including yourself. For one day a week, it's an acknowledgement that you are exactly the person that you are supposed to be. The other 6 days, we could try to work on our traits, work on skills, but recognizing that it's just a goal of trying to grow, but you're already fine the way you are. You don't need to be anything but who you are. And not just the best version of yourself. It's okay to be the worst version of yourself occasionally. Now, it's more than occasionally, you can be the worst version of yourself all by yourself. But we have bad days. And we have to be kind about that as well. We have a song, Dayenu. It would have been enough, but it really means we have been enough. Otherwise, it would have been Dailanu. There would have been enough for us. Dayenu is we've been enough. We can get through anything. We have that ability to face all the challenges in our lives and to be okay. Yom Kippur is even, believe it or not, an opportunity to say that you are okay. It says that God loves you for exactly who you are, imperfections and all. Right? We confess whatever sins, but what penalty do we give? Like, do we say, okay, everyone who committed the sin on page 236, come on up to Beamer. Don't ask why. Right? It's about building awareness. It's about understanding that we're fallible. But I'm going to give you an assignment for Yom Kippur. Try to think about what you actually got right this year. Try to think about what you did that actually made someone's day better, maybe someone's hour better. Try to think about what are the things in your life that are actually going right. And if you think about it, you're going to be, I think, very pleasantly surprised about you got it way more right than you think. And that you have done far more good. We tend to focus on the negative, and that we hold on to. But think about all the acts of kindness that you've done. Think about all the things in your life that are really going okay. And so when we come to Yom Kippur, it's really just a matter of tweaking and not, oh, I'm a terrible person, I've never done anything. It's, I've done all these wonderful things, I didn't get it all right, and I'm going to do my best. And if we do so, we can be fed up, but fed up in the sense that we're doing good. We can feel that we have had enough because our lives really are beautiful. So my prayer is that during this time, we look at ourselves in a good way. We say not only do we have enough, but we are in fact enough. Shabbat.